It's the Harris Football Podcast with your host, Christopher Harris.
Welcome! Hey, everybody. Welcome in. My name is Chris, and this is a podcast with minty, fresh breath. Hello there, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. Not to brag too much, but how does it feel to be listening to a fantasy football podcast that actually knows a little something about ADP, huh? That's right, average draft position. It's this new thing I just discovered that actually tells you where players are being drafted before you do your own draft. I kid, of course. I think ADP is trash. All the way up until now and maybe even a little after now. I think it's probably trash most of the year because instead of talking about which players are good, all people talk about is, should that guy be going in the third round? Before we actually know that guy's really going to be going in the third round. But there does come a time where it's important to start comparing what we think of players to what we suspect the market might be doing with those players. And for this show, we can wait no longer. Stubbornly, I stay away from ADP until now, but that time is now. I have officially cracked open ADP such as it is, and man, is it a mess. Not that it's wrong, it's just all over the place. It absolutely depends on where you draft, but we'll do our best to start talking about where players are going. And coming up on the show, our buddy Dave Kluge from Football Guys will help us begin that process. But before we get there, is there NFL news? Oh man, there surely is. Remember a few days ago when the Saints said rookie receiver Jordyn Tyson's hamstring injury, quote, wasn't super serious, end quote? And then they were very clear to make sure that we knew that this hamstring injury had nothing to do with those other hamstring injuries Tyson is famous for. Yeah, it's super serious, and it absolutely has something to do with those other hamstring injuries Tyson is famous for. Jordyn Tyson is out for 2 months at least, and is now borderline undraftable in a redraft league. Is that a good thing for Chris Olave?
Crutch argument alert.
That's a classic crutch argument. The answer is that it's not necessarily good or bad by definition for Olave, because on the one hand, you could say, all those targets have to go somewhere, bring them to my sweet, sweet Chris Olave, but on the other hand, you could say, there's nobody else in the Saints receiving core that's going to keep a defense honest, and Olave is going to have a tougher time getting open on a per-play basis. And I already feel like I have Chris Olave plenty high, number 24 overall, so I haven't moved him. I think he's a terrific player. I'm happy if I get him at the 2-3 turn. My guess is that this news is going to send him skyward, depending on your platform. Who knows, but I think it's not going to send him down. The impulse is always just to try to distribute targets, and now Olave is going to get 2,000 targets. He might be headed to the mid or even early second round. I probably won't take him there. In Tyson's place, I don't have anyone in that Saints receiving core as particularly draftable. Devon Vele maybe gets an uptick, but not draftable. They've said nice things about rookie Bryce Lance in camp. You probably don't need to chase there. How about Kyle Monangai? Got tackled in a non-tackle practice, limped off the field. Initial leaks from the team. Oh, he's fine. Knee is structurally sound. Fast forward one day, Kyle Monangai's knee is not fine, nor is it structurally sound. He hyperextended it and will miss multiple weeks. I guess it is structurally sound. He didn't tear any ligaments, but yeah, it's not feeling good, I would imagine. Certainly makes it sound like he's not playing week 1. I lowered Monangai in the ranks as well, although I didn't really give DeAndre Swift a bump. I already have Swift going round 5, and I am allergic to DeAndre Swift going any higher than round 5. I think there's an argument that he's maybe going to outperform that in September, but then comes October, and presumably Monangai will be back, and then if I'm heavily invested in Swift, I got to live that zero life.
Scorelessness is hopelessness, and hopelessness will soon regress and regress into stat progress, but the stats were empty, just like me.
Because relying on DeAndre Swift to maintain full workloads or even like exceed 50-50 workloads. Not exactly been profitable for Old Zero in the past. Once again, my guess is the market will shoot Swift skyward. In that case, I will be more than fine not participating. Emeka Egbuka's toe injury is still hanging out there. Buccaneers coach Todd Bowles was cagey with reporters, basically refusing to engage or speculate on whether Egbuka will be available week 1. Certainly that is a 10 bells kind of thing to be keeping track of the leaks here in the next few days. For now, I have not moved Egbuka because I did not take that to mean that Bowles was implying Egbuka won't be available. I think I'm not going to speculate, period. I'm not here to talk about something I don't know about. But certainly we will listen to leaks over these next few days. Breece Hall strained his groin in Monday's Jets practice. Aaron Glenn told everybody, not a big deal, which if pattern holds, it will turn out to have been a big deal. But stay tuned. And did we ever believe we'd get to use this sound drop again?
Carry on, my eldest son.
Truly, we probably did. Keenan Allen, my eldest son, emerges from his hiding place, doesn't see his shadow, and signs with the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, I thought I would use that sound drop again. I believe I had that. A little birdie may have told me. And I guess it's hard for me to get enthused about drafting Keenan Allen himself. I put him wide receiver 58 standard, 54 PPR. That's late round gambit stuff, but acceptable as a very late round gambit. But this did make me lower Alec Pierce even further. He's been tumbling down the ranks throughout July and August. Not that he had the second PRP. Wait, PRP, PPR? This job just keeps getting more confusing. And it's not like Allen is anything remotely like Alec Pierce as a receiver. One guy is fast, one guy no longer is. But paying Allen $8 million, that is not window dressing. That is, we needed to get you in, and we weren't going to take any chances that some other team was finally going to give you your number. So I really do think we have to deal with the idea that Pierce could be out a pretty long while with that ankle injury, PRP or no, to the point where Alec Pierce himself, I'm thinking double-digit rounds at best. And that's the news I wanted to talk about here. I really should mention the meetups. I really should remember to do that. I did it at the end of Monday's show, but not at the beginning. Let's do that right now, right here. I am doing meetups across the Pacific time zone next week. Please show up. It would be wonderful if people attended. I have no idea if it's only going to be me and my gracious hosts and nobody else. I'm going to do a reading from Pound Foolish, my new novel. You'll have to sit through that. I'll be super entertaining. But then the main point is we'll mingle. We'll talk about whatever. We'll hang out for a couple hours. I'll certainly get to meet each person who shows up. You can get a signed book if you want to. This starts this Sunday. This Sunday. That's right. What is that? 5 days from now? I will be on a plane to Tacoma, Washington on Sunday. And then Monday, Portland, Oregon. Tuesday, Las Vegas. Wednesday, Phoenix. 4 days, 4 events. And then actually on September 1, for everybody who's in LA, I'll be back and we're doing a book launch reading that's 2 weeks from today on September 1st. You can find all the details and the locations at harrisfootball.com. Just go to the Pound Foolish page and scroll down. There's a big graphic about it. I've also posted it all over social media. The events all start at 7 p.m. I have never done a meetup in any of these cities. It would be so awesome to meet you. You know, if you're going to be in Vegas, maybe you're having a draft or something midweek and you're in Vegas, like take an hour, come on by. That's a week from today, that Vegas one. Truly, no matter how many people show up, it is going to be really, really fun. And the bribery continues. I've already done the Zoom from yesterday. I've already sent out the t-shirt from yesterday. We're going to do another bribery winner at the end of today's show. You probably haven't entered yet. You probably can't win this one, but you can win for the rest of the month if you pre-order Pound Foolish. You can find all the details at harrisfootball.com. And also just very quickly wanted to mention how many people wrote me nice notes about Monday's intro segment on the podcast, talking a little bit about rejection and being vulnerable. And man, oh man, I mean, too many people to list here. 50 people probably wrote me an email. I read every single one. It was so nice. You all are so nice. And it's just a reminder, like, we are not alone when we feel rejected. We all know rejection. It's part of the human experience. And we should wear rejection when we can, or sometimes you gotta take a minute, catch your breath. But when you can, hopefully take it as a badge and keep going. It is so great to know how many of you persevere every single day and against things that are way more significant than book stuff. You all are a total inspiration to me, and I sure do love you.
Today's kickoff.
Okay, on today's show, I said it right there off the top, it's ADP time. The first thing we'll do now that I'm fully immersed in average draft position is talk about the biggest things that stood out compared to my expectations and those of my guest. And to help me with those ADP surprises, it will be the aforementioned Dave Kluge from Football Guys. It'll be a great time. I thank you once again so much for listening today. We are brought to you by Wild Grain, and if you love fresh bread and fresh pastries, stop what you're doing. Send in some snark, just make it humorous. No, wait, that's a different song. But do stop what you're doing and go to wildgrain.com/Harris because you will love Wild Grain. It's the first ever bake from frozen box for bread, pastries, and French butter, all made by independent bakeries. Everything bakes from frozen in 25 minutes or less, I am telling you. Try it. You won't believe how good it tastes. So fresh, like it just came from the bakery. Unlike grocery store options, Wild Grain uses simple, recognizable ingredients and a slow fermentation process, which is often easier to digest. You can customize your box with classic, gluten-free, vegan, and protein options. And oh, the cookies. They're so good. I love Wild Grain. You will too. If you're looking for an easy way to enjoy bakery quality bread at home, Wild Grain has more than 40,000 5-star reviews and was named USA Today's best food subscription box 3 years in a row. They donate to the Greater Boston Food Bank, where I used to volunteer. They're great. Visit wildgrain.com/Harris to get $30 off your first box and free croissants in every box. Wildgrain.com/Harris for $30 off your first box and free croissants. My mouth is watering. Wildgrain.com/Harris.
Today's guest.
Welcome to the yacht. Come aboard. Dave Kluge's up on the podcast. He's from Football Guys, a friend of the possum. He's got 2 sets of ranks to win the contest. He's got 2 sets of ranks to win the contest. He's got 2 sets of ranks to win.
The song is wrong. The man has ranks of integrity with Dave Kluge. The song is lovely but incorrect. It is Dave Kluge from Football Guys. You can find him all over social media. Just look up Dave Kluge, Kluge. You can hear him 5 times a week, like you can hear me 5 times a week. But he's on the Football Guys Fantasy Football Show on the regular, and they do some live streams on top of that as well. Much recommended by me. Hello, David. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I want to say now you could also only find my rankings at footballguys.com. So I went out there, I won the contest, showed Fantasy Pros what it was all about, and now if you want my rankings, footballguys.com, you got to find them there.
I love it. Ranks of integrity, Dave Kluge.
Yes.
That's what I've always said about you. All right, well, I've done it. I'm finally looking at average draft position. Do you admire the fact that I lasted till August 18th?
It is very admirable. I am an absolute sicko. After round 1 of the NFL draft, I had Jeff Bell and Joey Wright staying at my place out in Colorado, and we did a high-stakes $350 draft before round 2 even commenced of the NFL draft. So I have been tracking these ADP changes meticulously for the last 4 or 5 months here, and I am very excited to see what you, looking at this for the first time, are shocked by.
All right, well, let's do it. It is a pointless countdown. We decided to look at the Football Guys I guess it's an amalgamation of many, many, many ADPs across many sites, which you all can find at footballguys.com. And I mean, I said this already off the top of the show. Like, the point is, there really is no ADP. You look at that page at Football Guys and you see Lamar Jackson and you go, wait, what? And you realize, oh, there's just two crazy outliers who have Lamar Jackson really low that push him below. But if I'm playing on Yahoo, he's still going to go in the third round. So it's just no criticism intended to any rankings. I mean, we don't know rankings. We don't know. It's predicting sports. We don't know what's going to happen. The larger point is just really, really tough to tell people exactly what's going to happen in their particular draft room on their particular platform, because the ADPs and the default rankings are also wildly different.
Right. And this time of year, we change the sliders where we kind of weigh different sources a little bit heavier different times of year. So this year, these rankings are weighed a little bit heavier by best ball, where there are a lot of drafts happening right now. And high stakes drafts, we're not putting a ton into the ESPN and Yahoo ADPs because, frankly, people aren't drafting there yet. 2 weeks from now, when those sites start ramping up a little bit, then we'll change the sliders and weigh that a little bit heavier. But right now, it's mostly a mix of best ball and high stakes ADP.
Yeah, best ball's useless to me because why do I care what best ball people are drafting? I
Right.
understand that's where the drafts are, but that's why I don't pay attention to ADP until now, because I have a real auction in 2 nights that I care very much about. And so I think this week, if you couldn't get your league members together the last week in August or the first week of September, this is a viable week. There are going to be thousands of leagues drafted this week. I have friends who just had one done. But I think what you said is so useful and instructive, and I didn't really know it, which is to say your site is heavily weighing something I don't care about at all for a long time, because that's where the data is. No slight intended. It's just the only people who are doing drafts are best ball sickos, and I don't care. For the purposes of redraft, I don't really care about best ball.
Right. And then NFFC, those are managed leagues. So I think that's probably one of the more accurate ADPs out here right now. But then you also get weird stuff happening on every platform where there's a very small pool of people drafting in these high stakes drafts, and they do crazy stuff. Like I saw Parker Washington go in round 4 a couple of days ago because people, start trying to one up each other and trying to get players that they know other people are going to draft. So yeah, this time of year, not a ton of drafts happening. So we're doing the best with the data that we have.
Right. All right, well, let's talk about our surprises. It's a pointless countdown, but it matters very much despite its pointlessness. What's your number 5 ADP surprise so far in 2026?
So I think, first of all, this year we are seeing that quarterbacks are getting pushed down pretty far down draft boards. And I think when you see some of the elite names up top, you see your Josh Allens and your Lamar Jacksons and Drake Mays, you might be saying these guys are going a little bit later than I would have expected them to typically go. But I think that's because of the depth of the quarterback position this year. And when I first started doing a handful of drafts, I was kind of surprised at how cheap I could get some of these elite quarterbacks. But then you realize that there are quarterbacks that you can feel pretty good starting in your lineup that you can get at the very end of your draft. When you see Bo Nix and Jared Goff going outside of the top 15, Kyler Murray going at QB 17, Tyler Shuck and Malik Willis going outside of the top 20, Daniel Jones is going as QB 24. I mean, there's just so much depth at the quarterback position this year. So this is very much so not like one player that I have a take on. Just the quarterback position as a whole is so deep this year. And last year, we saw Matthew Stafford getting drafted outside of the 20, giving us a top 3 finish in fantasy. And when I look at the guys that are getting drafted outside of the top 15, outside of the top 20 this year, I see a lot of guys that have that sort of upside. So I think this is another year where we say it, pretty frequently, but this is just another year where I don't think you want to be the guy paying up for a quarterback, because there's some really good value late this year.
Fully agree, and I think the only way I wouldn't agree is to say that this year is any different from any other year. It's just quarterback is very flat and very inflated, and because there isn't enough of a difference among them, you just don't need to pay up, which is, of course, you've been saying that, preaching that on my show and your own show. I've been preaching it. That's kind of what we preach, so I like it. And maybe that's an indication, because the elite guys you're perceiving are going a little bit later. Maybe that's actually starting to get through to some people's brains. So that's a good one. My number 5, I mean, you're a Bears guy. Maybe you can explain this to me. It's weird to me that Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren are getting different treatments. Like Colston Loveland is just like, oh, well, obviously he's the tight end 3, and obviously you need to be taking him, whatever, is it the 4th round? And whereas Tyler Warren, he's part of the next group. Sure, like you could take him, but I don't know, like it seems if Tyler Warren was better last year than Colston Loveland, he was better as a player, he was better as a performer for fantasy. Loveland, without that Bengals game, which was pretty fake, I mean, it counted and they came back and stuff, but like, it was nonsense. His long touchdown at the end was great. The Bengals just didn't cover him for as many times as I expect that to happen in a given year. No shade intended to Colston Loveland. He's really good and belongs to me. Like, there's a group of a few tight ends that I would put as like, I'm not probably going to draft them because I usually wait on tight end, but it just, I was surprised I was like, okay, well, so Loveland and Warren are going to be next to each other, and they were like a round or more apart.
Yeah, and I think Colston Loveland, too, he has been a really tough player to draft. When you look at the names that are going around him, you've got Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey, T. Higgins, Tedoroa McMillan. You look at some of the running backs, Cam Scadaboo, Travis Etienne. It's just like fundamentally, I don't know how you can click Colston Loveland's name when there are players at other positions that I think are giving you a reasonable advantage over the field. So I think there's a lot of projection happening with Colston Loveland, and I do understand the upside here, though. Like last year, he dealt with that shoulder injury in the preseason. He dealt with some midseason injuries as well. But I talk all the time about just the goldfish brain of fantasy managers, and I think people remember that Colston Loveland finished the year strong, that the Bears made a run in the playoffs, and that Loveland was a big part of, the offensive game plan throughout the playoffs, where Tyler Warren over the second half of the season was playing with a noodle-armed Phil Rivers, and Daniel Jones was injured, and he kind of burned fantasy managers down the stretch. So this, to me, when I'm in drafts, I mean, I do understand the upside case for Loveland. Like, I pay attention close to the Bears beat, and people are getting excited about it, but it is so easy to pass on Loveland, knowing that 2 rounds later, I can get Tyler Warren, who I have in the same exact tier.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have Warren ahead of Loveland for whatever that's worth, but they're right next to, like, 73 and 75 in my overall standard league ranks, which means I'm not getting either one because that's not where they go. But I was just, my surprise was just to see them treated differently. You're right. I can explain it. It's just a little bit surprising to me. What's your number 4?
So this one is more of a player take here. Blake Corum going in round 8. I would have expected that he'd be going a little bit higher than that after we saw last year. He carved out a pretty big chunk of this backfield. And I don't know if it's just that people are looking at the projections here and saying, Blake Corum should get 30 to 40% of the backfield. And if that's the way you're looking at this, I think it makes sense to draft him as what he's going right now, the RB34. That would make sense that like he is, the second running back that has a lot of value on his team. So I get why he's going there, but I think he should be going so much higher because there's also contingent upside here if Kyren Williams were to miss any time. This guy is something you don't see frequently in fantasy football. Somebody that you can draft that has standalone value, or when you get into bye weeks and injuries, you can rely on Blake Corum, and he can have that random game, even alongside Kyren Williams, where he can put up 60, 80 yards, get the occasional touchdown, gets involved as a pass catcher. And if Kyren Williams misses any time, then we're looking at a weekly plug-and-play top 10 running back. So I think this is one that the market is just completely wrong on right now. You can draft him in round 8. Like, you're basically drafting him as a bench stash. You're not even relying on him to be a week 1 starter, but you still get that bye-week usability and elite contingent upside. I think this guy should be going 2-3 rounds higher than he is, and I was kind of shocked when I started drafting this year, saw where he was, and then that ADP has not budged at all this offseason.
I'm probably responsible for that. That's about where I have him.
Yeah,
it's all
fair.
me. It's all me. But I understand what you're saying. And, I've said so many times, I'll be watching Rams film and they look so similar and their numbers are 22 and 23, and I can't tell which is which. That's a good sign for Blake Corum that he's pretty much the same player as Kyren Williams. It's good. It's funny though, like, I guess I'll just do, actually, let me just do my number 2. Your number 4 is that Blake Corum is too low. My number 2 is that Kyren Williams is too low.
Fair.
So, it's where do you have Kyren?
If I was a true professional, I would have had my rankings pulled up before we started the show. I believe I've got him around RB13 or RB14, but I'm pulling that up right now.
Okay, I have him 10, but like that's fine. That's the right neighborhood. But RB13, RB14, that's not a 3rd round pick. Like late third is where he's going.
Yeah, so I've got him at RB 15. So yeah,
Okay.
about what I expected here, and I could even like push him up. I've got him in the same tier as Josh Jacobs, who's dealing with a little injury
Sure.
right now. So I could get him up as high as like RB 13, kind of right alongside Javonte Williams.
So that said, like, where in your combined ranks is he?
So combined ranks, I'd have him as like a 4th-round pick, and a lot of that comes down to
Wait,
I don't think.
Hold on, your RB 15 is a 4th-round pick?
Yeah, I've got and that we'll save that for one of my later ones, but
Okay.
I do have wide receivers pushed up a little bit higher in my rankings than I think
sure
the
do.
ADP does this year, and I think Kyren Williams a very very good football player, but it does worry me a little bit that over the second half of the season we saw them kind of doing like the one drive on, one drive off, and that does skew a
Every
little
team
bit.
does that,
Kyren's-
Dave. Every team does
right.
that. I mean,
yeah, but
I just think so. I would take Kyren Williams in the second round and wouldn't even blink. He's been the RB4, RB6, RB8 the last 3 years, and I've watched all those games too. And every time the rubber met the road, it was Kyren Williams.
Right, and
So-
he does get the high value stuff, the 2-minute
Yeah,
drill, the goal
that's what I
line.
mean.
Like he does get a lot of that. So I understand the upside here, but it's just when I look inside that tier of running backs, where I'm looking at Josh Jacobs and Breece Hall and Jeremiyah Love. I mean, Kyren Williams is the only healthy guy right now of that bunch, but we're really kind of splitting hairs there right now, and that's why I'm able to like move Kyren up a little bit because right now he's the healthiest of the bunch. But I do fear that Blake Corum
I'm
is just
more
pushing for a
talking-
bigger workload.
But yeah, everybody's pushing for a bigger workload. I just think we could go to every single running back and be like, ooh, there's another guy. There's 4 guys who don't have another guy. And all I know is that the Rams are one of the few offenses I pretty much trust to be good. And I've got 3 straight years of us assuming that someone was going to take Kyren Williams' job and no one ever really doing it. So I can't wait to get to your next. Your future, we're going to get later on the list about running backs and wide receivers because I think we buried the lead there. The idea that when you said he was your RB15, I was like, okay, cool. So he's going to be end of round 2 for you, and you're like, that's round 4. That's interesting to me.
And you know what? Do you want to get into that one? Because that's my third one that we can talk about right now that I was a little bit surprised by.
Why don't we wait until we finish the break? Does that sound okay?
Perfect.
We are sponsored by the very bed I sleep on. That's Lisa. You know I'm a bi-coastal elite Lisa sleeper. I've slept on a Lisa mattress for 11 years. No joke. I only just replaced my first Lisa a few years ago, so it really lasts. If you've been waking up stiff and sore, if you've been thinking about getting a new mattress, I surely hope you'll keep Lisa in mind. They've grown so much since they first sponsored us. You can take a sleep quiz at leesa.com and figure out which Lisa mattress is perfect for you. And I do like to mention another very charitable company. Lisa has donated, at this point, tens of thousands of mattresses to families in need. They're American made, they treat their workers really well, and the beds are just great. And you get 4 months to sleep on your new mattress to make sure it's perfect. And if it's not, Lisa will make it right. We are at their early access Labor Day sale right now, which means 25% off select mattresses at lisa.com. And if you check out using the code Harris, that's another $50 off the top. 25% off your new mattress plus another $50 off at lisa.com when you use that code Harris. Okay, we are back with Dave, and we were just talking about positional, like ordering wide receivers versus running backs, and that, I think you said, leads into your number 3 surprise for fantasy ADP.
Yeah, it's that draft boards right now look like it's 2006 again. I was kind of surprised to see how high running backs are going in drafts, and I think the reason because of this is that last year running backs stayed healthy. Like a lot of the guys that were drafted early stayed healthy, and last year it very much so was a robust running back type of year. If you drafted running backs early, you probably won your fantasy league, but we have 20 years of data telling us that running backs get injured more than any other position. To me, last year was a bit of a wonk year where we saw a lot of high-value wide receivers going down, running backs staying healthy, and now it's like we've just thrown 2 decades of data out the window and just gone back to drafting running backs early. So this is a year where I find myself, I don't do this every single year, but when I'm in drafts, I prefer a lot of the early round wide receivers. And there are, Drake London and A.J. Brown and Nico Collins Rashee Rice, Malik Neighbors. These are guys that I prefer to a lot of the running backs that are going in round 2 instead. So I was shocked when I started drafting this year and saw a lot of people, like it's not uncommon in a draft to see 6 to 8 drafters walking out with 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds. And to me, it was just a little bit of a shell shock because that is not how drafters have treated fantasy for the last decade.
First of all, a wonk year. So we call Harold Fannin the wonk. So last year was the year of Harold Fannin. It was a wonk year. That is fair. It is obviously people are like hearing that you say that, and it's a valid perspective, and they're knowing that I don't agree with it, but I understand where you're coming from. So I'm not gonna like get, this is a firmly held belief that you have. It runs contrary to my firmly held belief that people always should have been drafting this way, and that we're moving slightly more in the right direction. Because my side of the argument would be, okay, sure, injuries can happen to everybody. I mean, all the receivers got hurt last year. Like, injuries can happen. They are more likely to happen to the car crash victims. Those are the running backs, no question about it. However, for me, that doesn't countervail over the scarcity at running back, which is overwhelming, as opposed to wide receiver. I've said it a million times on the show, but I say it to different guests to get different reactions. I look at whoever I would take at wide receiver 7 and whoever I would take at wide receiver 40, and I can make a case that the 40 guy could actually wind up better than the 7 guy in a way that I absolutely cannot make the case for running backs, like even without an injury, because that's the league now. The league is such a passing league, and 3 wide is the base formation, and the rotation of receivers is maddening. And in any given week, Nico Collins, who is a great player, but how many times did he do 2 for 11 last year? It was wild. This continues to be, as almost all things are for me in a fantasy draft, a scarcity argument, and that running backs are simply more scarce. I run out of the good ones so fast that I still need to, I think it's hilarious you're calling drafting like 2006. I absolutely get it. And by the way, absolutely respect your opinion. I don't mean to tell you that I know that I'm right or whatever. This is just my perspective on it.
And I do think that there's a small handful of running backs that have just delineated themselves from everybody else. Like, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you should take Jackson Smith-Njigba over Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Right. Jahmyr Gibbs, sure. Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey, fingers crossed that he can stay healthy. And then I think you've got James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown. Those are kind of your difference makers. But I think what I'm most surprised by, Chris, is kind of this cluster. There's 2 clusters where I think we have the running backs and the wide receivers kind of flip-flopped. Like, when I see this Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley, Omarion Hampton, Kenneth Walker cluster of running backs, like, there are major question marks with all of those guys, in my opinion. And I would prefer Drake London and A.J. Brown to those guys. And then what we talk about Kyren Williams, like, I've got Kyren Williams as my RB15, pretty in line with ADP right now, but I do prefer Zay Flowers, Emeka Egbuka, T. Higgins, Ladd McConkey, and DJ Moore to Kyren Williams. So while I've kind of got him similar in running back rankings, when I fold in my overall rankings, I just prefer a lot of the wide receivers in that range to the running backs going there.
I get it. What kind of running backs do you wind up with then?
So I like to get one of those early guys that I mentioned. If I've got a top 2 pick, Gibbs or Bijan, without a doubt. If I'm picking in the middle of round 1, I like trying to get a Jonathan Taylor or James Cook. Late round 1, I'm taking Chase Brown. So I do like to get one of those hero running backs early, but then I'm okay kind of, I don't know if streaming is the best word, but maybe like Frankensteining together some sort of RB2. So I'll mix in some Chris Rodriguez and some Blake Corum, and then throw in some injury away guys, your Tank Bigsby's and your Ray Davises. And I know that in order to do that, I need to manage my team well in season. I am very rarely paying up for my RB2, but I think that if I take enough shots on these ambiguous backfields and target some guys that I think may be a little bit undervalued, that even though it might be bumpy for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, I'm pretty confident that I could find somebody that can get me 10 to 12 points per game at my wide receiver 2 position, or at my RB2 position, and then I think that I'm strong enough at the other wide receiver, tight end, quarterback positions that I can offset that little bit of a weakness in my RB2 spot.
You think that, but I mean, all I know is my history of doing this is that we're terrible at it. We think we can manage it, and then it turns out, Terry McLaurin is the wide receiver 7 and CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver 26, because it's just they're all real close, and very few of them stand out. They're just, if I take running back, and I can get Terry McLaurin in the 5th round, I'm like, awesome. Like I'll absolutely do that. And I'll take Rome Odunze in the 6th. Then I'll take Carnell Tate in the 6th. And I'll feel like my receivers probably match up to your receivers just fine. Different approaches, definitely. Don't mean to be disrespecting your perspective, but I'm definitely coming at it from the other direction. Let's do my number 3. And actually, my number 3, this is going to share some doubt, but it's casting a doubt just on one player. I am shocked Omarion Hampton is going early in the 2nd round. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't consider him anywhere near the group that you just mentioned that he's going near. And I mean, people are imagining some Adrian Peterson style player like fitting in an offense and just being amazing. And I've said it a lot that I understand if it turns out Omarion Hampton is amazing and his rookie year, winds up being a major exception to the rest of his career, then we'll be able to explain it away. He himself got hurt. His offensive line was a disaster. That offense, started out humming great in September, and then they lose the tackles, and it's just not an environment anybody could have excelled in. But I'm sorry. I watched a lot of film. Andy Behrens and I did some film room futures on him back in, can't remember, January, February, on the Yacht Club show, and it just... he didn't have a lot of swivel to his hips. He didn't have a lot of maneuverability. People like the Underwear Olympic scores, the big and fast, but I didn't see him really find holes, and certainly didn't see him make anybody miss. He kind of ran to contact a bunch. I think it is absolute wish casting to be taking Omarion Hampton early 2nd round.
I just did a show with Jason Wood, who kind of anchors all of our projections over here at Football Guys, and we did an interesting show where we talked about players that we have changed our minds on this offseason, and we both brought Omarion Hampton to the table as guys like early in the offseason. It's easy to just look at Hampton and say this is a young player on a good offense, and the tackles are coming back to the Chargers. This is a guy that we want to draft. And then it's not even so much that I moved Hampton down my rankings, but I found reasons to start moving everybody else up. Chase Brown made it out of the draft unscathed. They didn't add anybody to that backfield. We feel good about that. We're getting really good word about the Eagles and this wide zone scheme that they're going to be operating in with Sean Mannion. So I'm moving Saquon Barkley up. Kenneth Walker, having a good camp, moving him up. So I keep moving guys up ahead of Omarion Hampton, and he just kind of keeps falling down because of that. We also get, there's been a lot of talk that they're going to be using multiple running backs in Los Angeles. You'd think I'd know after 10 years, but I still slip up every now and then. But, did you hear the story about Mike McDaniel leaving the wanted posters all over the clubhouse with Keaton Mitchell on it, saying that he wanted Keaton Mitchell. So he wants to have this guy because Hampton is really good at the short yardage stuff. He can plow through a couple of guys and score a touchdown, but I think that this Mike McDaniel offense does want that speed element. And Hampton is fast if he can get 8 strides unabated and kind of get up to his full speed, where Mitchell is that guy that 1 foot in the ground and he's at his top speed. So I think that we are going to see a little bit more of a split here than Hampton drafters would like to admit.
Sure, that's true. I mean, I think that's a great rule of thumb for almost every running back, for all but like we were saying, 5 running backs. There's going to be a split. That's just going to be the nature of the beast. And you have to find the guys who are exceptionally good at doing. I mean, that's the NFL. It's been the NFL for years and years. No, you know, 2 guys a year get 70% of their team's carries. And Jonathan Taylor's always one of them until he gets hurt. And people are like, I wonder why he got hurt. And so, you have to accept that everybody else you're drafting, including Chase Brown, you're taking him in the first round, he's going to get 60% of the carries. He's not playing third down. You have to make peace with that. So the reason you would consider him there is because Chase Brown has proven, it's a little rich for my blood on Chase Brown, but I absolutely get it that he's proven he's a really good NFL player. So you go, you know what? I can't get great production out of whoever, and that I take in the 7th round at running back, so I'm going to take the chance that the really good player can make do with the 60% that I know that's usually what starting running backs get. And therefore, my problem with Hampton is just, I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's the one who's going to take care of it. They all split the jobs. Every team is good. Cam Scadaboo is going to split the job. Name the guy. It's Barkley, McCaffrey, Gibbs, Bijan, and like Bijan, I don't know. We'll see. That new coaching staff, but he's certainly been annoying with workload at times. Everyone else, they better be good to take advantage of their workload. And I am not positive Omarion Hampton is good.
He's fast.
How about
He's really fast, Chris.
I mean, you said it so well, which is like he's really fast once he takes his 7 strides.
Right.
That's exactly right. That's what you see on film. That's
and the last thing I'll say about this kind of cluster of running backs is I think so many people are just willing to like treat ADP like law, and they get into a draft and they're just going to take the best running back available when they're sitting there at the 1-2 turn. I think you just, stake a claim. Like, say this is the guy that I want. Like, maybe for you it's Chase Brown, maybe for somebody else it's Devon Achane, maybe for somebody else it's Saquon Barkley. But I don't think that you should just like blindly take whoever ADP tells you to take at this point in the draft. Like, say it with your chest, draft the guy that you want to, because I think that there will be 1 or 2 guys that emerge from this tier. But just to say ADP is telling me this is the guy that I should take is not how you should be drafting your fantasy football teams.
If you're looking for a way you can add a charitable element to your fantasy league, Fantasy Cares makes it so easy. And we're not talking about having to donate the whole kitty in your league, just maybe 1 entry fee. I mean, $10. Every little bit makes a difference with Fantasy Cares. You can find out how easy it is to do it at fantasycares.org. Also, if you'd just like to play in some of their awesome contests, they have a Survivor pool, a Pick'em pool, a Fantasy One and Done. You can play in any of these contests with a donation as small as $5 or as much as you want, and have a great time all season competing for prizes and knowing that your money went to a great cause, because Scott Fish is the best, and Fantasy Cares gives to dozens of charities, including their title charity, Toys for Tots. You can find out everything Fantasy Cares has going on right now. What a great organization. fantasycares.org. We are back with Dave, and we have, I think, 3 more surprises for ADP. 2 of them are yours. What's your number 2?
Would it be a show that you and I did together if we didn't talk about the little badass DJ Moore? Because this one, Chris, I got to be honest, it blows my mind where he's getting drafted right now.
For good or for bad? That's what I don't know what you're saying.
I mean, he's going in round 5, and he is the unquestioned wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen. I think that this is a perfect just fit for what he does, what he brings to the field. I think that when you look at Ben Johnson's offense, we hear so much. It's detail oriented. It's about being on your spot. They're counting how many steps you're running every route in, and you have to be here on this millisecond. That's not how Josh Allen plays. And Josh Allen has said, he just wants a receiver who can get open, and then he trusts his arm to get it to a receiver. We have heard nothing but positivity coming out of Bill's camp. And you and I, when we talked earlier in the offseason, I talked about how much I liked this fit. Right now, you can go into drafts where you can get DJ Moore as your wide receiver 3. If you're going really wide receiver heavy early, you can get him as a flex player. This is a guy with a legitimate wide receiver 1 upside in this draft, going off the board as the wide receiver 25. This is one that I thought would be going much higher. I've expected his ADP to go up in the offseason, and he is just stuck there being drafted as a wide receiver 3.
And coming from a Bears fan who probably felt somewhat burned by DJ Moore from last year, that definitely means something. I'm on the same side of this one with you. I have him as a 4th round pick, so that's a round better than he would be in the 5th. I guess to turn it back around to that positional conversation, isn't that all the more reason I should be getting good running backs, because someone like DJ Moore and several other receivers are going to go, in the 5th round, where I go, I don't know. Is there a huge difference between DJ Moore and AJ Brown? By the end of the year, if they're both healthy, who's going to lay me odds that DJ Moore is going to be way worse than AJ Brown stats wise? I think I would give you a 40% chance that Brown's better. That Moore is better, rather.
And I think with a player like DJ Moore, it doesn't even matter who I take in the early rounds. There's so many players where I'm I'll draft this guy if I go running back heavy or whatever. I kind of have to
that's fair.
Talk myself. Yeah. DJ Moore is a guy, if I go running back heavy and I throw in a Brock Bowers or a Trey McBride or something like that, I can come back in round 4 or 5 and add DJ Moore as a wide receiver 1 and feel good about it. If I go wide receiver heavy and I'm drafting him as a wide receiver 3, I feel good about it. This is just a player that I think is so mispriced that however you spend your first 3 or 4 round picks, you can still fit DJ Moore in there, and it's going to work out for you more often than it won't.
I mean, he's such a fun player on film. He's so explosive. He's such a, I mean it in the best way possible. Try hard. Like he's just,
Yeah.
It's full bore all the time. And, you know, he's been such a fan. I've been such a fan since really like second year in the league. If I were to play devil's advocate, which I'm not because I'm on the same side of this argument as you when it comes to DJ Moore. Absolutely. Please don't take this as me being contradictory to what you're saying. But like if I was going to take the devil's advocate position, it would be cool. So Harris has been raving about DJ Moore for 8 seasons. And how many elite fantasy seasons has he produced? And that would be 1 with Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent.
A completely broken offense.
And a completely bad, terrible, like misbegotten offense that got everybody fired. So is there I mean, I'm anticipating that coming because that's not my argument. I like DJ Moore. He's still going to turn 29 this year. Like I'm good on DJ Moore. I agree with you. I'd take him in the 4th round. There can sometimes just be guys who film junkies fall in love with who never quite put it together. I don't really believe that's a thing. I think you can go through Moore's entire career and step by step explain what happened, but at some point that is a little exhausting.
Right. Yeah. You kind of find yourself, my rule of thumb is like, if I have to spend like 10 minutes telling you the excuses why this player hasn't been good, they might just not be good. But we have seen elite seasons from DJ Moore. You know, we saw like this guy was just a lock for 1,000 yards per season when he was in Carolina. We saw the big 1,400 yard season with with Justin Fields, and I really think that, you know, this wasn't a sign of him being bad at football. I think it was just a terrible fit, which we do see schematically from time to time. You know, how many miscues were there last year in Chicago because DJ Moore was trying to find the soft spot when he should have been staying on his line, or he was trying to freelance a little bit. I think it was you that said kind of bebopping and jazzing his way around the field. I mean, that's what we see from DJ Moore a lot, and I think that works really well in Buffalo. It doesn't so much in Chicago.
Yes. I'm going to be on the same side of this with you. I'm just trying to say I understand why people are like, man, I feel bruised. I don't think I want to go there. I mean, that explains the ADP. I think people feel bruised, even though logically what we're saying makes a lot of sense. So my number 2 was Kyren Williams. So being late 3rd round, which I'm pretty surprised by. So we are up to your number 1.
Yeah, and this one, it's a little bit of a player take and a little bit of a team take, but the Jacksonville wide receivers, I have not really been able to understand the ADP for these guys. We've got Parker Washington, first of all, going ahead of Brian Thomas Jr., and both of them going in round 6. But then we also still have Jacoby Myers is getting drafted here, and Brenton Strange is still a part of this. And with all of this, you see a huge discount on Trevor Lawrence, and I've spent so much time just thinking about this Jacksonville offense and why these ADPs are the way that they are. And as you kind of pay attention to rumblings around the industry, you have 2 very strong camps. You have your Parker Washington camp and your Brian Thomas camp. And I think what happened is that both of these guys have dragged both of their ADPs to a point where they've extracted the value out of this, where we've got Parker Washington going inside of round 5, Brian Thomas Jr. going inside of round 5. I think both of these are good players, but this ball is going to get spread thin in Jacksonville. There are a lot of talented receivers in this offense right now. And I'm at a point now where the Parker Washington guys have dragged his ADP up so high, and the Brian Thomas guys have dragged his ADP up so high, that I think both of these guys are just massive avoids at their current ADPs.
Interesting. It might be true that they can't both deliver at their draft positions. It might be true. You know, we did a mock draft that is out now actually on YouTube. That was the one that Cousin Josh was on, but also the winner of our listener podcast. So like we actually had a listener on a mock draft. He was great. Joe, he was fantastic. And we got into it a little bit talking about Brian Thomas and the idea that, you know, last year, the new Jags coaching staff, it very much felt like they came in to turn Brian Thomas into an all-field receiver. You're not just going to be the X. You're going to run out of the slot. You're going to do a bunch of timing routes. You're going to get screens, you know, all that stuff. And within a month, they were like, "Oh my God, no!" You know, within a month, they were like, "You can't do those things." So to me, if anything, I mean, I actually am okay with the trademark Matt Harmon sacrificial X Brian Thomas. You know, at some point, the sacrificial X with a relatively potentially good offense that gets to have 5 games in the year where he makes a big play and the rest of the time he sucks. Like your mileage may vary, but that guy probably should go in the 6th round now because that's probably a 1,100 yard receiver and 7 touchdowns. And for whatever, that's just the state of receiver right now. That guy finishes as the wide receiver 21 or something. It's annoying, but that's the state of wide receiver right now. But that ride might not be for everybody. I'm with you. Like, I bet you when we get everybody listening into their drafts, I think someone in every draft is going to be like Parker Washington, late round 3, Parker Washington, early round 4. Like someone like to me he's the one. He probably is the best player of the group, but it will start to get, maybe he's just a little too unproven for me to go quite that high.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, when I first got in one of my first drafts, and I was like, Parker Washington, loved what I saw late in the year. Like, this is a guy that I really want to target in round 8 or 9 of my drafts, in every single draft. And then I see where he's going in round 4, in round 5, and it's just, people have gotten way over their skis here. I think there is, a complementary skill set between Brian Thomas Jr. and Parker Washington. I think that they benefit each other. But then you've still got Jacoby Myers, and you've still got Brenton Strange, and I know Travis Hunter, the jokes kind of write themselves with Travis Hunter, but even if he is only playing 30-40% of the snaps, like, they're going to be designing plays to get the ball in his hand when he's on the field. This, to me, it either seems like all of the Jaguars pass catchers are way overvalued, or Trevor Lawrence is drastically undervalued.
Yeah, I mean, but that speaks to your very first point, which is that he probably the answer is Trevor Lawrence is undervalued, but you just can't hike his value because there's so many other quarterbacks you can make a case for. It's just they're sort of all the same. I'll say, like, if I get to the 6th, I would take Parker Washington. I'm okay with it. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to be there for a lot of people. When the real drafts really, when that data starts getting in, so much is about your platform and what the default ranks are. And some platforms don't even change their default ranks. Like, we'll be in September and people will still have Alec Pierce in their default ranks, like, really high, and you'll be auto drafting Alec Pierce for some reason. But, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington winds up being the one that rises. Okay, so my my number 1 just really relates back to your very first point, but I'm just going to make a particular case. You mentioned his name, and everyone knows that I'm going to say this, but my biggest surprise is that Matthew Stafford is just completely being ignored for fantasy. Like, we're pretending like he wasn't the MVP of the league last year. In the numbers that Football Guys has run at this point, he's QB 13. In other places, he's QB 15. I just think it's insane. It's somewhat the tyranny of running quarterbacks, and those people still holding out for Anthony Richardson over in the side over there. They can go pound sand. I have Stafford as QB 5. I don't even vaguely understand the case. It's one of the few offenses that we can enter the year thinking, man, it would be a pretty big upset if that wasn't a pretty elite offense. And Stafford himself is coming off an MVP season. And okay, great. We've said this a million times on the show, but you haven't heard me say it. Great. He's going to regress. He's going to take 12 touchdowns off the top. Boom. Guaranteed. That always happens. Cool. If he'd taken off 12 last year, he still would have led the league in touchdowns. It just seems wild to me, and it reminds me so much of the last good years of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, when people were like, well, now he's done. Now he's done. MVP. Mm-hmm. Okay, but now he's done. MVP again. I think people can expect to hear Stafford's name later in the week when we get to the flag list, because it's just crazy, and we can all talk about getting him in the double-digit rounds.
Yeah, I think, this Rams offense is one that I just want a part of, whether it's the running backs, the receivers, even like late round Terrence Ferguson. Like, this is just an offense that you want a part of. I will say the counter argument that I've heard to this, which I'm not putting a whole lot of credence into, is that now with Myles Garrett there, with Aaron Donald expected to return, that this is going to be a better defense, which, like, they were an awesome defense last year, and that didn't stop Stafford from still producing. So I think people just, inherently, they want to find reasons to talk themselves out of drafting old players. And if the reason for not wanting to draft an old player is because they're signing an old player on defense, I think you might need to kind of take a look at that logic.
Yeah, check yourself. It's wild. Of course we know Stafford has more injury risk than a lot of people. I've had 2 herniated discs the last 2 years. They suck, and he won't be able to play if he herniates one again. But the whole point is the quarterback is wide open. There's so many quarterbacks. There's so many replacements available. In a super flex, okay, but like if I take Stafford in a super flex, I'll still feel good about it. I'll just make sure I take another good quarterback. If I take Stafford in the 4th or the 5th in a super flex, I'll make sure I take maybe one even higher than him, even though I plan on, Stafford being the better of the two. It is a wild decision by the market, and it was my biggest ADP surprise going. This was really fun. Great conversation, Dave. Thank you so much for doing this. I would love it if everybody would follow Dave on social media, your choice of platforms. Just look him up there, and subscribe to the Football Guys Fantasy Football Show, also producing 5 episodes per week, and then also the occasional live stream. What a pleasure, my friend. Great job. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you, Chris. This is such a fun time of year, just kind of plugging into drafts, seeing where these players are going. It is a lot of fun. Can't believe that the season's already here. I'm sure you've done the same, kind of like mapping out what you're doing between now and week 1 and saying, like, there aren't enough days left in the week for me to do all the things I want to do. It comes up on us pretty quickly.
It does indeed. Thank you so much for listening. Let me also thank the sponsors without whom there would have been no show. We had Wild Grain, and it's so delicious. I wish you would try out Wild Grain. Lisa, also delicious in a different way, the mattress. Love it very much. And Fantasy Cares. How about that? 3 delicious sponsors. You can find out information about today's sponsors in today's show notes. All the current sponsors are listed at harrisfootball.com. It is awesome when you have a need and you have the means to support a sponsor. That's how the whole thing keeps going. So many of you do that. I appreciate you so very much. How about we do our book giveaway drawing? You've been bribed, and we have a winner. Today's prize is a cameo of sorts from me. Basically, whatever you want me to say on video, if you want me to talk trash, if you want me to announce your league order, if you want me to just give a personalized message to someone in your league or in your life or whatever, basically, I'll just record a video for today's winner. And again, that doesn't sound like much of a prize to me, but hopefully does to you. Jonathan Dobrovich, your number came up. You are the winner today. I have already sent you an email by the time you're hearing this, hopefully, and we'll work out something. I'll record a video for you. I want to remind you that there are lots more drawings to come every day, every show day, the rest of the way through this month and probably into the first week of September too, to try to get you to pre-order Pound Foolish, which you can find at harrisfootball.com. And the big prize, I haven't said for a few days, but the big prize is going to be, I think that first week in September, we'll find a segment where the grand prize winner will get to come on the actual podcast and talk to me for 5 minutes or something, ask me some questions, interview me maybe that's the way we'll do it. And so if that sounds interesting to you, you should enter. Not that many people have entered. So, if you do, you have a decent chance to win. Again, find out all that info at harrisfootball.com. Remember, the tour starts on Sunday in Tacoma, and then Portland, and then Vegas, and then Phoenix, and then the following week, Los Angeles. I would love to meet you. I would love to see you there. Your hat is awesome. It would be so exciting to meet some new friends. That is going to do it for this Tuesday episode. For the Yacht Clubbers, coming up on Wednesday, Andy Behrens and I are going to do some futures hunting. We're going to take a look at the lines for the season-long wagering world on the teams and the players, and talk about ones that we like and ones that maybe we don't like so much. And then we'll all meet back here on the free side on Thursday. That's right. The flag players begin. The first part of the flag list will come on Thursday, the second on Friday. My guest on Thursday will be Matt Harmon, and Matt and I are going to talk about offenses we just might, in fact, wind up being wrong about. Heaven forbid that we don't know in our mind palaces everything that's going to happen situation-wise before an NFL season begins. I'm looking forward to that one as well. Until then, thanks again so much for listening. Your hat is, in fact, awesome. You're awesome for wearing it. I will talk to you next
The
time.
Harris Football Podcast's opening theme is Under the Gun by Apex Manor. The closing theme is Say Yes by The Wellspring. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and never miss an episode.